Hey guys, Nicole here. Last week I talked to you about lesson planning, and this week I want to talk to you about batching your lessons, the movement technique, and movement formula. So, batching. What is batching? A lot of you ask, how am I supposed to do all of this lesson planning? When the heck am I going to have time for that? I'm a busy homeschool mom. Of course you are. We all are. Um, so the technique you're going to use is batching. Think about if you're going to bake 5 dozen cookies. You're going to bake those all at once, right? You're going to set aside time and you're going to whip up a batch and you're going to bake 5 dozen cookies. You're not going to eat all of those 5 dozen cookies immediately after you bake them, hopefully, but you're going to dole those out over time. It's the same thing with your lessons. You're going to batch your lesson planning. So if you were going to plan 2 to 3 months out, if you were going to plan 6 weeks out, you would do that, at a certain time you'd set aside and you would just plan it all out. So let's give you a concrete example. I would say if I had the next 6 weeks, I'm going to study a topic. I'm going to sit down a week before I actually start it, and I'm going to do all those steps that we talked about in that last video. And I'm going to do that over a couple hours. I'm not going to give myself a lot of time, and I'm not going to fret about if I don't finish it. I'm just working ahead as much as possible during that duration, and I will plan that out. And then the week of the lessons, I would start, let's say Friday is the last day of your week. I would start on Friday evening, and I would look ahead. I would look to what we had actually accomplished that previous week. I would look ahead for the next week, and I would just kind of keep it fresh in my mind. Saturday, I might run a couple errands, go to the craft store, go to the video store, go to the, if those actually still exist, probably go to Netflix and figure out what documentaries I'm going to look at, go to the library, pick out my books, get everything ready to go for that following week. And I'm just going to spend maybe less than an hour on that. I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about it because I am busy. I'm just going to set aside that 1 hour. I'm going to get as much done as I possibly can during that 1 hour on Saturday. And then Sunday evening, I'm going to review my plans and kind of timeline out what I want to do. And I would just spend literally 30 minutes doing it, and I'm just going to jot things down. Because with homeschooling, you got things that come up. Your week might move really quickly. It might move really slowly. You might find that they're totally interested in an avenue and they're asking you a ton of questions and you just can't move along because they want to stay where they are and they're so interested in it and you want to go more in depth. Well, that's what's so great, you can spend that time. So batching, that's how you plan things in advance. You just set aside some time, you get down as much as you possibly can, and then you don't worry about it the rest of the time. You don't spend every day. You don't spend 15 minutes every day. That's going to wear you out. Don't do that. That's going to burn you out. Just set aside a certain amount of time. Try 6 weeks in advance at first, and then try every a week before, 2 or 3 days before that week starts, setting yourself up for an hour and 2 hours to go over your plans. That's batching. All right, so movement formula. Okay, this is for your 25 and under kids, right? You're probably not teaching kids 25 and under, but if you're 25 and you've got little ones, this is for you. So anybody that's 25 and under, you're going to take your age, you're going to subtract 2, and that is how many minutes you have before you need to get up and move around, right? What kind of movement? You just need to get up and move. You need to stretch your legs. You need to maybe juggle some balls. Maybe do some push-ups. You need to waken that brain up. You need to just get yourself going. So yeah, you're going to take your age minus 2, and that's how many minutes you need to only be sitting before you move on. So if I have a 15-year-old, I'm going to subtract her age by 2. That's 13. So she should not be sitting for more than 13 minutes before I have her up and moving around and doing something different. Your brain gets bored. That's why we do it. Your brain gets bored. It sits there. It goes into lulling, into sleeping. So if you have these beautiful lectures planned for your kids and you're having them sit longer than that, than the movement formula, then you're doing it wrong. They're not going to remember what you're talking about. You've got to incorporate movement into your lessons. All right. Now, movement technique. What is that? Let's say that you have this line down the middle of your body, right? So you've got your right side and your left side. I know it's going to probably be reversed in the camera, but you've got your right side and you got your left side. Your movement technique is you're going to want to incorporate moves that cause you to cross that. Your right over your left and your left over your right. That's where the juggling the balls comes in. Yoga poses do wonders for that. Playing catch with your kid, that's crossing your right over your left or your left over your right. And what that does is it helps your brain myelate. It helps all these synapses communicate with one another. It helps your hemispheres connect through those, through all of your life. Through all of your life, you need to do this. This isn't just developing brains, because your brain actually develops your entire life. So you want to do this as a habit for yourself as a parent teacher, as well as for your kids. So balancing exercises, tossing the ball around, that's your movement technique. When do you want to do this? You want to do this when you're reviewing information. So it's not necessarily when you're learning new material. It's when you've already learned it and you want to review it. And the reason why we do this is because it's hard for our brain sometimes to get started and to focus. It wants to navigate its environment. It wants to do the movement. And so it's a little rusty for it to kind of get the information recalled immediately. It will start to get smoother if you incorporate this technique more often. When you're first starting out, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be frustrating. You're gonna get some people that are like, I don't know, I can't figure it out. I can't do my times tables while I'm tossing a ball back and forth. It's a little complicated. That's good. That's where you want to be. So that frustration, that's helpful. If you're at a frustrated level, you're where you're supposed to be. You want to be reviewing material, stuff that they've already learned, so that when they're doing this movement technique, their brain will start to recall that information quicker. That's what you're going to see. So you're going to move past the frustration line, and they're going to start to recall their facts a lot quicker. Why does that happen? Your brain wants to move. That's way more fun than recalling that information. So it will create synapses and pathways to that information so that it can be recalled much quicker, so that it can get back to its fun thing, which is moving around and doing the fun stuff. That's what your navigation. All right, so there you have it. Your movement formula, your movement technique, and your batching. I bet you're asking, what if I'm over 25? What do I do? Is that the time period that I can finally sit through something? No. If you're over 25, you're going to use what's called a Pomodoro technique. And that means that every 25 minutes, you need to be up and moving, right? So after your 25th birthday, that means no matter how old you get, if you're 150, you got to be moving every 25 minutes. You cannot be sitting through. So those people that make you sit through those lectures, yep, it's not the right thing to do. It's not the right way to help make your brain remember what it needs to store in long-term memory, because it's just going to be bored. So find ways to get up and move. Talk to you later. Bye.